Og derfor handler den undskyldning, som jeg giver i dag, ikke kun om fortiden. Den handler også om vores nutid, og den handler om vores fremtid.
An apology from the Danish Prime Minister for historic injustices committed in Greenland, its former colony. But there's another issue that's affecting Greenlandic people right now.
Saamimi amningama tuutimi qaangiummata meeranguaratingunaqarpu.
Parenting competency tests, which contributed to hundreds of Greenlandic children being taken from their families.
The way these tests are used is a scandal.
In May, the tests were outlawed for use on Greenlanders. Now, the Danish government says they're going to review hundreds of cases. Some parents are getting their children returned, but others have been told that for them, it's too late.
I never get to see his first steps, first word.
And even for those whose children are returning, the impact can be devastating.
Are you afraid of losing your daughter again?
Every day.
Are more families going to be reunited?
Uanganarungidaqa anaanaalluarsinnaallunga. Аллиарторнера калаалерпалаартаруйуссууа атаатангаат аллиарторнитсинни пениартууллуналу аалисартуунакууа писимасут аққааллунгуллууни массакоқунгуиссунаава.
Står vi her sammen, fordi det er sorgens dag. I har mistet mange af jeres børn. I har mistet mange af jeres børnebørn.
In the capital, Copenhagen, people have come from many different parts of the country. They say their children were unfairly taken from them and are demanding justice.
315 dage, 44 uger, 44 buketter.
The decisions to remove children were partly based on so-called parenting competency tests, cognitive and psychological assessments used to determine whether someone is fit to care for their child.
Og en dag så dumper der jo så en sag forbi mit bord, hvor der er nogle forældre, der har en grønlandsk baggrund. Og det, der jo springer i øjnene, det er, at der har været manglende tolkning i den her sag. Der har været en masse fordomme. Og når jeg sådan snakker med forældrene, så kan de ikke genkende det billede. Kunne jeg ligesom konstatere, at der er nogle ting, der var helt galt i de her sager.
These tests are still being used across the country for Danish people, but in May 2025, they were banned for Greenlanders after evidence showed they are inappropriate for their culture. A new specialist unit has been set up and is expected to review around 300 cases where Greenlandic children were removed from their parents' care. Kira's is one of them.
I made a promise once she was born that I will bring her flowers every week. In that way, she is with me. Tingutimmat мисигисимавунгассунатаамаавиммитаартисо тарнамма илаатоқусо сунатамарми униттуусисингами саамими арнингама туутими qaangiummata meeranguaratigunaqa.
Zami is the third of Kira's children to be taken against her will. She says initial contact with social workers started with a knock on the door out of the blue. Documents from the council cite concerns that her eldest daughter was struggling with language development. This led to assessments and tests on Kira. What were these parenting competency tests like? What kind of questions did they ask you?
They asked a question like, who is Mother Teresa? Some of the tests I had to play with a doll. And they were criticizing me for not having eyes contact.
These kinds of questions are part of a far-reaching assessment designed to evaluate intellectual and personal capability to meet a child's needs. They can cover general knowledge, logic, memory, and emotional understanding. Parents would normally be required to take these tests after extensive contact with social services.
It takes a lot to decide to remove a child. So we will use these tests when we are not making the progresses with the family, and we want to understand why.
Aperinga kitsoruna uanga testini imatan misisortissanerlunga akivanga. Inuiaqatingin inu qataasinnanerlunga imalunniit inuttupissuseqarnerlung takuniarlung.
Kira's assessments concluded that trauma during her upbringing affects her parenting, preventing her from meeting her children's needs. She says that on multiple occasions, she was pressured by psychologists and social workers to have abortions.
When I was on the test, FQO test, psychologist asked me a question. Why do you keep this baby? And my test is that I'm not responsible enough. I didn't take my responsibility for getting abortion. I fight for Sammy. I didn't want to get abortion.
The relationship between Greenland and Denmark is steeped in centuries of colonial rule. After World War II, Denmark launched a campaign to modernize its colony, aiming to bring it more in line with Danish cultural norms.
They were aiming to renew housing. They were aiming to provide better health services, improve the school system and education. Many Greenlanders felt kind of overwhelmed by these policies and felt that the Danish cultural norms were dominating and that their lives were changing significantly without them participating fully in this development. When you intervene into a family and remove a child, this is always based on some ideas about cultural norms.
For years, campaigners have raised concerns about the way children are taken from Greenlandic parents. Tina co-founded Sila 360, an NGO challenging the system.
The way these tests are used is a scandal, and it's shocking and it's dehumanizing. The Danish authorities think that the Greenlandic people are uncivilized, they are less smart, and actually that they are just less privileged.
Kira is preparing to go and see Zami in a visitation centre, as she does every week. But today, her other children are joining her.
This is Zoe. She is my eldest daughter. She was forcibly removed when she was 9 years old. She returned to me when she turned 18.
When I was taken from my mom, they raised my identity, my Greenlandic language. I counted every second till I finally turned 18 so I can come home to my mom. To get Sami back, it will mean the world to me. I can be a good role model.
Kusanangittuliarfingitisimavunga uanga assorio. Uanga narungidara kinaallunga. Uanga narungidara anaanaalluarsinnaallunga.
While Kira waits, hoping for answers, not every case is under review. Some have been permanently closed. Back in 2010, Johanne was assessed in a parenting competency test. She did not have an interpreter, even though Danish is her second language. The assessment found her to have mental retardation. But the local council told us she did not need an interpreter and that her children faced physical and psychological neglect because of Johanne's alleged mental health issues, including periods of depression and anxiety. Her 2 children were taken from her. Then, 9 years later, Johanne became pregnant again.
We have another picture when he was 1 day old.
Wow. Is that you?
Yeah.
That is me
That is the father
and son.
and son. Nartuderama nuannarpu. Pilluamisartoruissuugut ukiоqqortusererluta ilimagingikkaluaqatigunartulissalluta.
That happiness was short-lived. 8 months into her pregnancy, Johanne learned that she and her husband would face the parenting competency tests once again. The assessment described Johanne as childish and narcissistic. Ulrich, it said, was self-centered and lacking empathy. The conclusion, they could not meet the needs of their child. They felt the outcome was predetermined.
Nerrivik saasmaanlarit kasuttortarpaa Johanna eqqaamajuk meravisiangortinissa siunertararput.
One of the tests Johanne and Ulrich and many of the families we spoke to had to take is the Rorschach test. Developed in the 1920s, it analyzes personality traits based on how people interpret abstract ink blots.
Ассигиимарлук ааппалутторталиқеққани уа аллатуисиингиннакку арнакалаалеқ пилаттоқ пуисими таа қунгуиллунга оқарфигивара арнакалаали пилаттоқ илумиуи пиарлунги таа тассиникинааллангориарлуни каккаммиаингасаттаяангааравит папаариусути ассаа.
In traditional Greenlandic culture, where many people hunt for their livelihood, seeing blood from a young age is normal. But in Denmark, the same response in a psychological test could be seen as a cause for concern. But child removals don't just happen because of these tests. In Denmark, they are part of a much wider process, one that disproportionately affects Greenlandic people. They are estimated to be proportionally nearly 6 times more likely to have their children taken than the general population. Some point to the fact that in Greenland there are high levels of alcoholism and child abuse, but critics argue these issues can fuel prejudice in child removal decisions in Denmark.
I think the whole assessment is problematic because the testing is just one part of the assessment. We have gone through so many cases, it's the same assumptions about alcoholism, about them being neglected as children, about them being sexually assaulted as children, and you can find it in all the cases.
Johanne and Ulrich were told that their child would be removed from their care and permanently adopted.
Стрессернарникоруйу кигунеринникуу ақаммаатаасисиоққуллунгиарниникуу соорунами эрнерусуннангиккалуарпоқ илунгерсунарпу соорунамиила анаанангулеқлуни тими анниарту қиланаарлунгалу аннилаангаллунгалу мисигисимаунга.
Their son was taken from them a few weeks after birth. At first, they were allowed occasional visits, but in 2020, he was adopted and they haven't seen him since. Their case was closed, and will not be reviewed by the government.
This is the last time we were together in one picture. In August 2020. I haven't seen him after. I never get to see his first steps, first word, his first tooth, his first school day. I never get to see them.
We put Johanne and Ulrik's case to Denmark's Social Affairs Minister, who's leading the government review of child removals.
Well, as a mother myself, I completely understand why it's heartbreaking. It's just a very thorough process, and it's actually a process that is a lot more than this parents' competence test. Our court system decided that this child should be adopted by another family without consent from their biological parents because they thought that they were never going to be able to take care of this child. We cannot undo this. We cannot undo adoptions.
You say it's heartbreaking, but you do have the power to do something about it.
We cannot go back and look into the cases again. Those cases are closed because the child is now living with another family. We have to look at the child and what is good for them.
Some long-separated families are beginning to reunite outside the official government review process. When her relationship with the father of her children broke down, Pilunguaq turned to the council for support. She agreed her 3 children could be placed into temporary care. But instead of being able to bring them home when she felt ready, she was asked to take parenting competency tests. The assessment said she had a pattern of entering dysfunctional relationships. Then, a few months ago, Pilunguaq's youngest daughter was returned to her after more than 4 years apart.
I'm crying a lot, but at the same time I'm laughing. Oh my God, she's going home. Oh my God, she's going home.
But after so much time living apart, rebuilding their relationship is proving complicated.
It was hard to begin again, be a mom. I feel like I didn't know about my youngest child. I don't know what she loves to do. I do not know what time she goes to bed. It was hard to find each other again. And one day she asked me, "Are you my mom?" "Yes, you are my daughter." "But mom, you look like a Greenlandic person." "Yes, I am, and you are a Greenlandic people." When I go to the bathroom, she can have a kind of panic attack. "Mom, where are you going? Mom, where are you going? I couldn't find you, I couldn't find you." And she is very scared of losing me.
Are you scared that your daughter could be taken away again?
Every day. They can take her in 1 hour. They can do that again. Var det ikke lidt hårdt?
Pilunguaq's 2 older children remain in foster care, and she's fighting to get them back. They regularly visit her.
They said to me they want to see that I can be a good mom to my youngest, and then after, if I be a good mom, then the 2 oldest will come home.
So it's like they're testing you right now?
Yeah.
Pilunguaq's case is not yet being looked at by the official review. We wanted to find out whether other cases are being re-examined.
It's been 6 months since a government review began, and so far only 10 cases where a parenting competency test was used have been reviewed. Why is progress so slow?
Well, I know that it sounds slow, but I think that it is also, we are getting started, and I suspect that in the next coming months, they will review even more cases. Every time you have to review a case, you have to get all the paperwork also from the municipalities. We need the municipalities to speed up.
Out of those 10 cases, only one was found to contain mistakes. As of today, the government review has not led to a single Greenlandic child being returned to their family.
I can't recognize those numbers, I must say.
Those numbers come from the units that you've set up to review the cases. So they come from a government agency that you're in charge of.
I'm not satisfied that we have only reviewed 10 cases at the moment. We want to make sure that we look into every placement where this test was used to place a child with Greenlandic background. It is a work in progress, yes.
The local council involved in Johanne and Ulrich's 2019 assessment told us that the child welfare assessment indicated significant concern regarding the parents' overall parenting abilities, lifestyle and functional level in daily life. In Kira's case, the local council told us they can't comment on individual families, but said generally employees would never pressure parents to have an abortion, but only offer advice and guidance. They added that a decision to place a child in care happens when there is serious concern about the child's health, development, and well-being. In Pilungwak's case, the local council involved declined to comment. There may be some hope for Johanne and Ulrich. Their lawyer wants to bring their case to the European Court of Human Rights.
Og det er først, når man sådan har udtømt alle de nationale muligheder, at vi kan få den videre til Menneskerettighedsdomstolen. Kommer sagen jo til at danne præcedens og få stor betydning i forhold til vurderingen af andre sager.
Det giver nyt håb. Jeg var lige ved at opgive helt. Men det er rart at høre det fra dig, at ja, vi kommer til at genoptage det. Og
There are still no answers for Kira as to whether her daughter will be returned.
There's no way to win. I was never Danish enough. I was never good enough.
As Zami's first birthday approaches, Kira is determined to keep her Greenlandic heritage alive.
This is a Greenlandic slate. I'm making it by my memory. It's for my daughter, Sami. This is her birthday gift. Just a little bit part of her culture can be with her.
Johanne and Ulrich's future is also unclear.
Saagittaqiviarneranginnera ajuallanarpoq annernerpoq kamannarpoq nalunangu kukkunerpassuaqartoq nalunangu eqqungittorpassuaqartoq.
Bliver behandlet som om vi ikke er nogen mennesker. Har ikke rettighed til at være forældre. At vi har blevet tilsvinet af systemet.
Do you think the government should apologize?
We will keep looking at our own practices in Denmark, but together with the Greenlandic government. But we also have to look ahead and not only look backwards.
So you don't think the government should apologize?
I think it's too early to say.
When Johanne and Ulrich's son was just a few days old, they baptized him, hoping that one day he would find them.
We did it on purpose. We needed to make a paper trail so he could find back to us.
Pilungwak's case is not included in the official government review, but she's just received an important update from her local council.
I just got my good news. We found out my two oldest children will be home for good for December. We are coming back to be a family again and having a Christmas time together again after almost 5 years.
Sabing isaratama nukinga tanninga ummatinga inakita maasa atorlungat paningatinguniarsaivara.
In November, just after Zami's first birthday, Kira was told by the authorities that, at least for now, Zami will remain in foster care.